Theatrical Shenanigans with
Julie Brandon.
Hello there, and welcome sadly to this last episode in this fifth season of Theatrical Shenanigans. I truly hope you've enjoyed this season and will enjoy this last play we have and my special guest. So let's go and meet her, shall we? My guest today resides in a Chicago suburb, and her relationship with Theatrical Shenanigans started way back in September 2024, when her play Can You Get There From Here was produced as part of our third mini Shenanigans series. Following that, her play Pulls Out of a Hat was produced in our January 2025 anniversary special, and she was featured as one of our 4 playwrights in our Women's Day special with her play Knit 1, Bitch 2. Outside of her relationship with Theatrical Shenanigans, she is a wonderful crafter of poetry, short stories, musical compositions, and one-act plays. It's a thrill to have her here once again. Welcome, Julie Brandon.
I am thrilled to be here. Thank you so much, Rachel.
It's a pleasure. It's wonderful to have you here. So, as always, we start at the very beginning. What got you started in the arts world?
Well, I've majored in English literature in college. So I always wanted to write, but I thought I couldn't. But I started writing poetry years ago. And then I started writing short stories, and I found out I was having a problem with scene description and people description. I could not paint you a picture of what someone looks like. So I started to think about what I really liked about literature, and I am a big Jane Austen fan. And what I liked is that it's people just talking to each other. And I thought, well, I like dialogue. Maybe I should write a play. But I had to go online, and I hadn't read a play in a long time, and I had to remind myself of structure. And I knew that I wanted to write short plays because maybe I have a short attention span, but I like to write short. So I sat down and I hammered out my first play, which was a murder mystery. I got a bunch of friends together. We did table reads. We'd go in a coffee shop somewhere and we'd read it, and I'd take advice, which was helpful. And I submitted it to a local theater, and it got produced, which
Right.
was it's almost like a gambler, when you win and you want to keep winning. Or maybe a drug addict that chasing that first high, just for
Yeah.
use an example. And it was so thrilling. I got to go to rehearsal, and when you realize people are standing there and those are your words, and you created those characters that they didn't exist until you wrote them down.
Mm.
And we went to see all the shows. It was a couple weekends, and friends came, and I was thrilled, and then I was hooked. And then I just kept writing short plays, and I discovered that 10-minute plays are my thing. But I've also gotten very proficient at 1 and 2 minute plays, which people
Mm.
don't know they are plays. I'm like, no, no, you have a beginning, a middle, and end. And it just took off from there. And I love it. So that kind of got me going.
Mm. And obviously, as you mentioned, you've written in a multitude of formats from, say, poetry, stories. You've also dabbled in musical compositions as well. I suspect to know the answer to this. Do you have a preference, or is it an equal labor of love?
I, I love anything that has me creating, because really everything I do has to do with words.
Mm.
Whether I'm the dialogue, whether it's poetry. Poetry for me is easy. I sit down in the morning with my coffee. I get up very early for work at 5, and I write a poem, and I throw them right on Facebook because that's where I put them first
Mm.
before I move, and I share them. And so everything is like right off the top of my head. The musical compositions, um, I'm a vocalist in a choir, and I'm part of a wonderful songwriting group that's international. And I get a lot of encouragement, though I know I'm not a trained musician. I kind of sort of play the ukulele, but
That's awesome.
I taught myself. I teach everything I know how to do. I've just figured out how to do. No classes, just go do it. But I get a lot of encouragement. So my melodies are nice, kind of simple. A lot of it sounds kind of waltzy. Um, but I found out that I'm a really good lyricist because it's words.
Mm.
So I've turned into more of a lyricist than anything else. And I think I love them all, but I probably find the poetry the easiest because that's off the top of my head.
Mm.
Um, but the playwriting too, I found a wonderful, supportive online community and made friends, people all over the place. And we were very supportive of each other. So I guess that's an answer that it's all equal, but it's different.
Mm. Um, But you have a fabulous collection of work on Uplay Exchange. We've obviously produced several of your pieces here. Um, are there any topics you like to write in, or genres you prefer to write in, or is it just anything and everything?
Well, I really enjoy writing comedies.
Mm,
And the comedies are always about interpersonal relationships. I tend to write about, I'm finding older people as I'm getting older. And the longer I'm married, I'm writing an awful lot for older couples, which I think is great for older actors because
mm,
there's, as we all know, well, some of us, there aren't a lot of things for older actors. It gets smaller, the choices.
mm,
You're going to be the grandmother, you're going to be the old person in the woods kind of thing. So you have a choice. I like to write comedy. I am starting to write a little more dramatically. I have to be careful because I get a little ponderous sometimes, even in short plays. But I have several pieces that are what I would more like the state of the world,
mm.
social commentary. And when we did the Facing February challenge that was put out there, that the
Mm.
wonderful Deb Cole, who's marvelous, she ran it and
Yep.
kept us going. I wrote something every day.
Yeah.
And some of my, I mean, whether it was a monologue or a short piece, some really good things came out of that. And that's when I realized, I mean, the world needs to be written about. I mean, we must write about what's going on. We must, especially, we must write about what's going on in this country. In the States, there's so much that I could do it. I kind of felt, I found my feet
Mm.
for that.
So, as a playwright, if money were no object, which of your own works would you love to bring to life?
I have three that I've written. I think I wrote them all this year. And they're all different.
Hmm.
So the first one is called The Time of Burning. It's a very serious play. I keep hoping it's going to get somewhere. It needs to go somewhere. I wrote it. I didn't realize I was writing about heavily about anti-Semitism, and I'm
Hmm.
Jewish, and it's getting very frightening. And it's about what happens when ignorance and prejudice meet something they don't understand, and the knee-jerk reaction, which is to burn it down.
Hmm.
I'm very proud of that one. Also, I have a fun one. It's called Just Sit Down. And it's these two people who have died in unusual and interesting ways, and suggestive, some of them. And they end up at the river Styx. And neither of them are Greek, and they can't figure out why they're there. So there's a whole thing of the ferrymen and how they kind of take over. The one guy, somebody's a lawyer, kind of takes over the whole situation. So that's a lot of fun, and I'm hoping that one. I would love to see that one on the stage because that's just full of a lot of quips.
Hmm.
And the last one is the corner bar. That's enough. Also kind of about death. Um, People sitting in a neighborhood bar, or I guess like a neighborhood pub kind of thing, where they all know each other, and it's always the
Yeah.
same people. And death is sitting at the end of the bar. And it's a lot of fun. And I enjoy it because it also talks about it's not just humor, it discusses, you see into these people's characters. In 10 minutes, you have to build a lot. So
Hmm.
you get an idea of what all those characters are carrying around with them.
Hmm.
So those are my three probably favorites. I have a lot I like. Of course, I have a bunch, but those are my new three ones that I'd love to see on the stage.
So, what kind of projects have you been involved in this year? Has it been busy for you? Has it been more about the writing side?
It's been about the writing side. Of course, I got to be involved in International Women's Day program with you, which was
You
a
did.
wonderful thing. Wonderful. Um, And mostly it's been a lot of writing. I've had several short plays published.
Wow.
Actually, I just got another one the other day and I realized I had already been published somewhere else a few months ago. Unfortunately, I had to withdraw it. That was the one. This one's about quiet, about two people connecting in a quiet place.
Hmm.
I haven't had as much accepted, I'll be honest. This year hasn't been one of those strong years for production, but it has been strong in writing, strong in publishing. I've also had a lot of short stories and poetry published, so I'm kind of all over. This year seems to be the year of print.
Hmm.
I'd like to see some others, but I can wait. It'll come around. Last year was really good, so this year's kind of a little fallow, and I can
Yeah.
live with that.
And last but not least, what is your standout moment? A moment that has you thinking, yes, this is why I do what I do.
When I wrote my first play and it got accepted, I was like, this doesn't seem normal, and then I think probably after that, the first time one got published. And it's astonishing. And now the wonderful thing of having, having all the Facebook support and then having New Play Exchange where people will go and comment and say things. And sometimes it's someone you don't know, which is not,
Mm.
you're like, oh, this and that's nice and they liked it. But there's this person you've never heard of again, and they come in and they say wonderful things about your work, and then they go away, and you're like, oh, a stranger. So somehow when a stranger likes it, because you almost expect your friends to like it.
Yeah.
But I think the first production was the one where I went, oh, you know what? I guess I could try this for a while. And now here I am, 8 years later, writing like crazy when I'm not doing, all the other
Everything else.
all the other creative things I do. And I take a time, and sometimes you have to take a break.
Mm.
Sometimes your brain says, I don't have anything new right now. And that's okay.
Now move on to our playwright and play for this episode. Vicki Riba Koestler is a Virginia-based playwright, and her produced plays include the full lengths We Gather Together and Epsilon Precious, the play about the cat. She's also had numerous one-act and 10-minute plays produced. Her essays have appeared in the New York Times, Child Magazine, The Northern Road of New Jersey, and other publications. And if all that wasn't enough, she has co-authored 2 books with Gary Null, Choosing the Joy and The Baby Boomer's Guide to Getting It Right the Second Time Around. Vicki's play we'll hear shortly is entitled On the Zephyr and was inspired by our own cross-country Amtrak journeys. In the play, we see a young couple who, when stuck together in a small train compartment on a tedious transcontinental journey, find all their issues bubbling to the surface. Theatrical Shenanigans presents On the Zephyr by Vicki Riba Koestler.
Where are we? And why are we stopped?
Somewhere west of Chicago, I guess. And I don't know. Maybe we're waiting for a freight train to pass.
Some Zephyr.
What?
They call this train the California Zephyr. Zephyr means west wind. But this clunker's more like the Midwest stagnant air.
It's not the train's fault. I've read that Amtrak has to share their rails with freight lines, so that's why they're sometimes delayed. Of course, if this country would only invest in its infrastructure.
Yeah, we know.
Well, I'm just saying that if the federal government... Oh, never mind.
Excuse me, folks. Just wanted to let you know about the delay. We're waiting on a couple of freight trains to pass. Nothing serious. We should be on our way in about 10 minutes.
Oh, good. Thanks. See, I was right.
Surprise, surprise. You do tend to be right about everything.
You don't have to take that tone.
Except, I take that back. Remember when you tried to tell me that going by train would be an adventure? I'm thinking you weren't so right then. This trip has been about as much of an adventure as watching paint dry.
We'll be moving soon and...
Some neutral, off-white paint. Not even a bright color.
And we'll get to see the Rockies eventually. I've read that the Rockies are the highlight of this...
Super! Something else you've read. You're the expert on everything.
So be insulting. I don't care. I still think train travel is a great idea.
Yeah, because you're afraid to fly.
Well, maybe. But still...
Oh, come off it, Kara. You know you're terrified of flying. You're so afraid of heights, you won't even take the top bunk. I'm gonna be stuck on that top bunk again tonight. Do you know how many inches there are up there between a person of my size and the ceiling?
Okay, I'll...
Not very many inches, but you wouldn't know that because you wouldn't even climb the ladder to check it out.
Okay, I'll climb the ladder. I'll take the top bunk.
Never mind. I'll take it again. It'll be good practice for when I finally become a corpse in a coffin.
Why do you have to make me feel bad?
Good practice for how your parents are going to make me feel when we finally get there.
That makes absolutely no sense, Denny. But is that your real problem? Our destination?
Yeah, one of them. But you knew that.
So, I can't do anything about your not liking my parents. And I can't do anything about what my parents are like. And about the train. If I had known the top bunk was going to be so tight, I would have reserved a roomette. Maybe, in retrospect, we should have gone with the coach seats.
Maybe, in retrospect, we should have taken a plane. Or maybe we shouldn't have gone on this trip at all. I mean, with this new job, it's not like I have a ton of vacation days to play with. And now, I'm using them all up on what? 4 days of an obligation visit? preceded by 3 days of being stuck in a cell.
2.5.
I was rounding off.
Well, I'm just saying. And anyway, you don't have to stay in here. You can get up and go to the lounge car.
No, for your information, Kara, I cannot. The lounge car hogs have already claimed all the seats, and if you stand behind them to look out the windows, they act like you're invading their personal space.
What about those tables in the...
Don't play naive. You know as well as I do that the cafe car hogs have already set up shop there with their laptops, and they're all writing the great American novel. They're not going anywhere soon. You're lucky if they give up their tables when it's their stop.
How could they not give up their tables when it's their stop? They have to give up their tables when it's their stop.
Not if they decide to stay on beyond their stop.
Then it wouldn't be their stop, would it? You make no sense.
Yeah, I tend not to when I'm trapped in a boring, motionless cubicle.
So I'm sorry you feel trapped. I am very sorry. Things will be better once we get there. We'll be able to sightsee Salt Lake City, Bryce Canyon.
Oh, don't feed me that. Your parents have managed to settle in the one town in Utah that's furthest away from any and every attraction. That must have taken some doing, but they did it. And if we try to get away for a day to actually see something, they'll try to make us feel guilty for wanting to.
No, they will not. So maybe they will. But still, there's things to do in their area.
Oh yeah, that quilting museum. Be still my heart. The Museum of Quilting and,
The Museum of Quilting and Needlework. Well, I want to see it.
Bully for you.
Bully be you.
What? Oh, cute, Kara. Very clever.
I'm just saying, you could be a little more tolerant.
And I'm just saying, when you're weighing attractions worth going to, Museum of Quilting and Needlework here, Bryce Canyon National Park, with some of the most dramatic landscape and unique geology on the entire planet here.
So we can see both. I'll tell Mom and Dad we intend to see both.
Right. The last time you stood up to your parents was, never.
My parents aren't doing so well.
Yeah? Well, neither am I. Or haven't you noticed? I'm still struggling to fit in at this new job. I finally get a few days to unwind and let loose, and here, my precious vacation time is being squandered on... But you don't care.
Why are you always putting me down? Is that your new hobby?
Better hobby than quilting and frickin' needlework.
Well, that's better than bullying and freaking bullying.
What? You couldn't think of a second verb?
I didn't want to. You're bully squared. Besides, bullying's not exactly a verb. It's a gerund.
A gerund is a kind of a verb.
And you're a kind of bully.
Oh, grow up!
Shh! Close the door.
No. The last time we tried that, we started running out of oxygen in here.
No, we did not. We have ventilation ducts. You turn that little round thingy, it increases the airflow.
Don't you think I know that?
Well, I'm just saying.
Don't you think I effing tried turning the little round thingy? It's not like there's been much else to do for the many hours we've been imprisoned in this boring...
I'm just saying.
God damn it, Kara. Just don't say, okay? Just don't say.
Everything all right in here, folks?
We're good.
Especially you. You're always good, aren't you, Kara? Kara, good. Denny, bad. That's how you've organized your worldview.
I never said that.
Taking the slow train to the quilting museum? Good. Craving a little goddamn adventure? Bad.
I never said that either. In fact, I said the train would be an adventure.
Well, you said wrong.
So if you really want adventure, Daddy, why don't you just get off the train right here and find some? I mean, we're stopped. It should be easy.
You do realize we're not at a station. We're in the middle of nowhere.
I know! That would be part of the adventure, figuring out where you are, what to do next. You could just swing by the luggage rack and grab your backpack and get off the train right here. You'd be like a hobo hopping off a freight train on a whim.
The train doors are locked?
Oh, come on. You're smart. I'm sure you could figure out how to open one. Then you could just jump down off the train into that field. It's not that big a jump, and you are good with heights. There's probably a road on the other side of the field. You could hitchhike back to Chicago. Or try to tramp it, camp on the land, live off your wits. You could tie your backpack to a stick. Yeah, carry your stick on the end of a stick like hobos used to. It would be exciting. An adventure! And then you could have more adventures in Chicago.
You're putting me on.
No, I'm not. I'll tell my parents you couldn't make it. Emergency at work or something. They'll believe it.
I still think you're putting me on. But you know something, Kara? I'm gonna call your bluff. I'm gonna do it.
Fine. Good. You should.
Good! It's been swell.
Excuse me, I just wanted to let you know, in case I forget tomorrow. Tomorrow evening we'll be getting to your stop, but if we continue to have bad luck with freight delays, well, you never know. It could be pretty late. I just wanted to let you know that I'll be alerting you to your stop about 20 minutes before, so you won't have to worry about falling asleep and missing it. In fact, if you want, well, we can see how it plays out time-wise with any more delays, but if you want, you can let me know tomorrow if you and your, husband? If you want me to fold down the beds tomorrow night so you can get a bit of rest before you have to get off. Just thought I'd let you know now in case there was any concern. Sometimes people worry that they'll miss their stop.
Thank you. We appreciate that. Well, he stepped out, obviously. But, yes. Thank you.
Listen, are you sure everything's, okay? I mean, before, I couldn't help but...
No, sure. Everything's fine. Thanks for asking. We were just... everything's fine.
Well, good. Oh, wow. The Museum of Quilting and Needlework. That's one fascinating place.
You know it? You've been there?
Yes and yes. Be sure to go there.
You quilt?
Oh, no. I can barely sew a button. But I am a student of history. And there's a lot of history sewn into some of those quilts. Of course, you have to know where to look, but the museum explains about that.
I'm looking forward to going.
You'll love it. So, like, for instance, there's the railroad quilt. See, when the Transcontinental Railroad was completed in 1869, the Promontory Summit in Utah Territory,
I've read about that. It was a whole big deal when the two parts of it were joined up. They hammered in a ceremonial spike.
That's right, the Golden Spike. And the quilt they have depicting that event, it's amazing. They probably show it in the brochure. May I? Yep, here it is. See? Here's the Golden Spike.
Wow. That quilt is really intricate. It looks like whoever designed it tried to show the whole history of American railroading. I mean, up to 1869.
That is exactly right. And there's another cool one. Shows a family's journey by covered wagon from Kentucky to Wyoming. The quilter put in so many details of what happened to them along the way. It must have taken years to sew. But I would imagine that for a lot of the women who created these quilts, it was the best way they had of telling their stories.
Or maybe the most lasting. Or the most beautiful.
Certainly true about that second idea. You'll see what I mean when you get to the museum.
Do you live near it?
No. I live in Oakland.
Oakland, huh?
Oh, California. Near San Francisco?
Oh, sure.
Listen, Kara, if you ever want someone to show you around the San Francisco area...
You know my name?
Well, from your ticket.
Oh, sure. Of course.
And, I did hear your husband use your name before. I couldn't help it. He was a little loud when he,
Yeah.
He seemed kind of... If you don't mind my saying,
Oh, well, he, Wow. Are we moving again?
Yes, indeed we are. And I'd better get going.
Oh my god, he's...
Everything all right? Are you okay?
Yeah, everything's okay. Everything's... no problem.
So, I could get fired, but I'm going to do something. My name is Arlen Reed. This is my contact information. I live in Oakland, like I said, but I'm crisscrossing country all the time. On the Zephyr, also sometimes on the Capital Limited, the Silver Star. I have some say about my routes. Do you understand what I'm...
Huh?
Here. If you ever... I think you're a very special person, Kara.
Hmm?
I could get fired.
OMG. Oh my God. Whoa, that didn't... It couldn't... It did. Denny, what happened? You couldn't get a door open?
No, I didn't even try. Tell you the truth, I never even got my backpack. I was going to, but then when I got to the luggage rack, I saw a bunch of heavy suitcases had been piled on top of it. And it occurred to me that before I started rearranging everything to dig out my pack, maybe I should cool off a little and think about the plan. So I tried the lounge car again, and I guess because the train had stopped, some of the lounge car hogs had given up their seats, and I got one. And then I sat and thought, Kara. Yep, that's what I did. I thought. Strange but true, huh? And I came around to thinking that maybe some of the things that I've been blaming you for, well, maybe they're not your fault, like you've been trying to tell me. I mean, your parents being guilt-inducing sticks in the mud, not your fault. The top bunk being too close to the ceiling, not exactly foreseeable by you. So it occurred to me that I may have been a little wound up about stuff because of this new job, making me tense and everything, you know? I guess what I'm saying is, I'm sorry.
Oh, Danny, I'm so sorry, too. I mean, how could I have encouraged you to jump off the train like that in the middle of godforsaken, well, who knows where we were? I didn't even know what state. You know, when the train started moving just before, it suddenly hit me that anything would have happened to you.
Well, you don't have to worry about me moldering away in a cornfield with 2 broken ankles. Or was that soybeans?
And Denny, we're just going to have to go to Bryce Canyon, that's all. I'll tell my parents they can come with or not. But it's Bryce Canyon or bust. Maybe we can even hit Zion.
Listen, I'm going to the cafe car for a snack. You want anything? Muffin? Coffee?
No. No thanks.
Hey, by the way, when the train started moving...
Mm-hmm.
So, I was looking out those big windows in the lounge car, and I noticed, Kara, that the scenery started getting a little more interesting than it had been. There was more than just fields. Things were beginning to look different from where we came from. And, well, I began to realize that, yes, we're heading out west. We are eventually going to hit the Rockies. And I got to thinking, maybe you're right. Maybe taking the train will be an adventure.
Oh. It is, Denny. It already is.
Well, they do say you can have fabulous adventures on trains, and that was definitely one there. That was Bob Sawyer as Denny, Laura Hogan as Cara, and Chris Susi as Arlen in On the Zephyr by Vicki Riba Koestler. So, Julie, what did you think?
I thought it was great fun. I loved how the playwright, I love how she set everything up. I enjoyed when the scene opened because it's a short play. I love when the scene opened and you were already getting a sense of conflict because you have to have conflict.
Yeah.
And there was a sense of something was uncomfortable and you don't know what's going on. You know, if you walk into somebody, people having an argument or not quite an argument, that was the sense. I enjoyed it. I thought it was very cleverly written. I made notes. I mean, I thought it was really a lot of fun.
I love the fact that when I first read it, I developed feelings about the characters very early. Because again, it's like you said, you come into the middle of something, so it's very easy to kind of go, "Oh, he's not very nice." I think there was a moment when I was reading it, and I think it's about like halfway down the second page, and Denny says, "Surprise, surprise, you do tend to be right about everything," and I was like, "Oh, you bastard!"
Yeah, you could hear the tone. When you can hear someone's tone when you're reading it, and
Yeah.
and you know how an actor would perform it,
Mm.
and you could hear that snotty tone, and you could hear that this is someone who is really fed up. And
Yeah.
then you start wondering if this is their relationship all the time, or if it's just because they're forced into this very enclosed space, which is obviously
Mm.
not comfortable. And all of it. And then as it builds and you start hearing about the whole trip. But I like how when they start talking, you could realize they're probably happy at home.
Mm.
And or at least they've managed to balance. I mean, they're together, right? And he might not be quite as sarcastic, and she might not be so as she was just so anxiety. Her character was radiating anxiety through the
Yeah.
page. And so you started to go, is this just circumstance? You hope.
It also makes you kind of wonder about, as we say, are they the people they are in this train carriage all the time? So
Yes.
does Arlen just hit on women every time he's on a train journey? Is Denny always that sarcastic and that kind of brutish? So yeah, it makes you not only look at the actual scenario that you're seeing or you're hearing, but you kind of think outside the box, which for characterization is brilliantly done.
hmm And Arlen was such a good device to
Mm,
change it because they could just had this fight and he could have come back in and they could have made up and been all lovely, lovely. And that would have been really fine, right? Because people do that. But Arlen was like the part of the story that it hinged on.
yeah.
She suddenly had a choice. He suddenly saw her differently. All the things she was interested in, the talking about the quilts and she saw, oh, maybe it like gave her options.
And one thing I love, and I like this about like most stuff I watch on television and films as well, is when we, the audience, are privy to a secret that one or more of the characters isn't. So when
hmm
Denny comes in at the end and does his whole, I'm sorry, we'll work this out, etc., etc., he has no idea how potentially close he came to losing his own wife.
Right, exactly. And that's what I love about, she could have just said, oh, we're good, we're fine, thrown the number away, and then they could have gone on their trip. But by keeping that, she's like holding on to a part of herself, like you're saying, that he doesn't know about.
Mm,
The whether she may never ever follow through. She may never call Arlen. But he can be that thing in the back of her head, when if anyone, we've all been in difficult relationships, because if you're alive, you've been in a difficult of all sorts. Just knowing you might have an out, even if you never choose to take it, is
mm.
empowering. So if he is always a jerk when they get home and always going to be like that, even if it's not Arlen, that might have opened something up in her head to go, hmm, perhaps this is not my only option.
The thing I love about the ending is there's the cliche with men that they don't talk about their emotions and how they're feeling. And Denny completely defies all that when he comes back to her and says, I've been stressing out about the job. He wasn't that keen on it taking so long. He wasn't that keen on using that much vacation time, which is fair.
Yeah,
But he actually says that to her. And the weird thing is if he'd said that, 15 pages ago, we wouldn't have a
we
story.
wouldn't have a story. No, I like that too because it shows. That's why I was saying at the beginning that I think their relationship might actually be better than what was going on at that moment because the new job and maybe she seemed to be a little bit of a know-it-all, but it also means that I can see that as that kind of control as anxiety induced,
Mm,
side of thing. I think that gave her a chance to break away.
Yeah.
from it. And maybe he has, like you said, maybe he hasn't been talking about the new job so much. And people, it's not just men. I mean, that is a cliche, and it's not a cliche, I think is fair. Because there's a lot of women, there's a lot of people. We'll
Yeah.
just go genderless. A lot of people who don't talk about how they feel. And then there are people who talk way too much about how they feel. And the rest of us probably fall in the middle. But yeah, I think that's what showed me that there was a real relationship going there,
Mm.
because he felt safe enough after he got over his snit to come in and go, look, I'm sorry. This isn't you. I'm blaming you for everything. And I'm blaming you for things that are not your fault. And let's make this right.
Mm.
And that's an adult thing to do.
Mm.
Because everybody loses their temper,
Yeah.
some more spectacularly than others. She had reached her point, you know. And Arlen was a distraction from that for a little bit and gave her a chance to calm down. And then her panic of, oh my God, he's out there on the train, somewhere in a field.
Yeah.
And so that brought them back, I think, to the now of their relationship.
Mm. I think for me as well, the idea of setting it on a train speaks volumes because there's again this whole relationship with people being on a train and it being romantic. So you get the old films where people like either meet on trains or they rush to catch trains and that kind of
Right.
thing. So there's that romantic view of trains and train journeys. And you've got two relationships here. You've got the reality, which is Cara and Denny, who are people who've been together for potentially quite some time, who have issues, but in the end, they work through it because that's reality. That's how that works, like you say.
Exactly.
Then you've got the Cara and Arlen, which is the fantasy side of it. It's the what if. And this is loaded with what ifs. What I find really brilliant is there are at least three other plays that can come from this. If Denny gets off the train, that's a play in itself.
That's the play. If she goes off with Arlen or
That's a
contacts
play.
him, or if she contacts nobody and goes
Mm,
on her own way. Yeah, there's a lot of it's a wonderful especially for a nice short play to have so many it's just rich with themes.
yeah.
The main theme is them, but there's all this other possibilities, which really is life. Because honestly, I don't know anybody that just goes in a straight line.
No.
In any life, you go up, you go. That's why they talk about, it's like a graph. It's up, it's down, it's up and down. Even if you're doing it all by yourself, everybody's in a relationship or needs to be. And it's just how your life goes. It could be that way in a day. It could be that way in a week. Your life can go, you could be going in one direction and everything can change suddenly. It could be something tragically, it could be something exciting, it could be something wonderful, but you never know. And that's why we can write plays about it, because there's so much. Life is just rich. And sometimes it's something is getting on a train and going to see your in-laws that you don't really want to see. So you get that idea that anything could have happened along the way on this trip.
Mm. It's quite funny because the what you said before about not going in a straight line, which ties in wonderfully again with it being set on a train because trains go in
Go on a
straight
straight.
lines. The people
Exactly.
on the trains, not so much.
Right. And people are coming and going all the time. you
Hmm.
know and like she points out, he's talking about the people who've taken over the chair, the seats, and taken over writing the great American novel, all this stuff. And she's like,
Oh,
well, aren't people getting off? And he didn't want to hear that. That was not like no, there was no logic anymore.
yeah.
All logic was out the window. When you're that mad, you say crazy things. Sometimes you look back and go, that doesn't make a bit of sense. So it was a really good look at a fight
Mm.
and how far it can go.
Okay, we are almost out of time. Julie, your final thoughts on the piece as a whole.
Well written, wonderful, wonderful characters, good character development. I enjoyed it all, and like you said, there's so much to it. And I think I've read it several times. Every time I read it, I caught something else
Mm.
that made me think more. I really enjoyed it. I think it would be a lot of fun staged
Mm.
too.
Yeah, completely agree. Okay, sadly, we are out of time. I feel like Julie and I could discuss this for days.
We could.
Julie, thank you so much for joining me to discuss this wonderful play.
Well, I'm so thrilled you asked me, and I was like, this is kind of the stuff I enjoy reading because I really enjoy writing it. But I was glad to be part of it. Thank you so much, Rachel.
And that is it for this episode and indeed this series of Theatrical Shenanigans. I hope you enjoyed the works of the 10 playwrights we've had this series, as well as the 10 guests we've had. If you have enjoyed this series, be it one episode or all 10, please do not hesitate to tell us so by dropping us a review on Facebook or a rating on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Or if you feel like it, you can treat us to a pre-show cocktail on our Buy Me a Coffee page. However, Theatrical Shenanigans doesn't stop here. Oh no. Starting tomorrow and running daily right up until Christmas Eve, we have our Festive Countdown Mini Shenanigans series with 10 festive themed short plays for you to enjoy before we start once again on New Year's Day with our anniversary special. I hope you'll be able to join us for the new season and beyond, but in the meantime though, I've been Rachel Feeney Williams, this is Theatrical Shenanigans, bring down the curtain and saying, I hope you can join us next time.
Theatrical Shenanigans is part of an RFW Scripts production, found on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts and Podbean. Theme music is written and produced by Chris Cody.